Hello and welcome to the Now Spinning Magazine podcast with me, Phil Aston. And on this episode, I'm absolutely delighted to have with me Phil Mogg from Moggs Motel. But many of you all know Phil from, obviously, the band UFO. Now, this interview took place over the phone, and I'm going to play it back rather, exactly as it was, because it's just full of humour, anecdotal stories, and primarily it is about this fantastic new album. So let's dive straight in, shall we? And here is my interview with Phil Mogg.
Hello?
Hi, is that Phil?
Yes, is that Phil?
Yeah, Phil.
What wicked parents we had.
Indeed, didn't we?
Anyway, nice to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you, Phil, as well. I've been a fan. I bought Fawcett in 1975 when I was 16, and from there I bought Phenomenon, and throughout the last few decades I've continued to follow UFO's career. So I'm a huge fan of the music.
That's a long time ago, yeah. That's amazing. Yeah,
but all the albums, Misdemeanor, Walk on Water, all the stuff you did with Pete, love it all. Absolutely great stuff.
Mr. Way, yeah.
So thank you. So I'd like to talk to you about the new album, because I absolutely love it. I've been very lucky to be given early access to it. But what I wanted to ask you was, I remember reading probably a couple of years ago now that you're a huge fan of Obituaries, and it really affected you when Lemmy unfortunately passed away, and then Jimmy Bain, and of course we've had Pete, Paul Chapman.
I forgot about Jimmy Bain.
Yeah, and Paul.
I'm a huge fan of Obituaries. Did you say?
A bit, yeah. You said I remember reading. So you're a big reader of Obituaries when people pass away, and you.
Oh, Obituaries.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, not that much. Hang on. No, I retract that. No, not that much, but yeah, well, it's quite.
Yeah, and I guess, of course, you've obviously had your own health issues as well. My question is, has this influenced the songwriting for Moggs Motel? Has this kind of formulated the way that you approach the lyric writing at all?
I think very possibility there's bits and pieces in there. We did have that long COVID period of being locked away, so I had bags of time. So much time that it gave a great opportunity to sort of what's the word? Go some places I hadn't been before. That was it. Yeah, to try out some different places. Yeah.
Because it's quite. I love that the new single Apple Pie that has lines like "I look in the mirror, a young man grown old. The lines in his face, rivulets of gold. Lines of laughter, lines of pain. Lines for a time that won't come back again." So I wonder whether that was autobiographical in any way.
Probably. As you said that at the end, I just sort of stepped on some with that. You go, "You silly old sod." Yeah, I believe it possibly. Yes, I would say it's kind of autobiographical there. Yeah. I did look in the mirror a few weeks back, but I've stopped since then. No, probably, yeah.
It's an absolutely great rock song. And the other thing that I felt different when I played the whole album is that the use of female harmonies and female vocals on the albums in the choruses and some of the, some of the, verses. They sound really, really good. Was this kind of an idea you had at the time, or was it later on when you'd written the songs almost and you thought, you know what we need here?
Well, it was more like, because we got no record companies involved or nobody else is involved, there's no pressure to do anything.
Yeah.
We haven't got any money off of anyone. It's just us. It gave you the time to do things, and I think where that came up, we was nattering about having vocal. Neil did a lot, and we put those in, and it came up to say, well, why don't we? I fancied having a female vocalist do some backing vocals because.
Yeah.
And I said to Tony, I said, got to find the right person, though. And he went, I know just the person. And I said, who? And he went, aha, Zoe. He said, no, we've worked before together. He said, let me get her, try her. And before I knew it, he got Zoe, and she sounded great. She was on... She's on that next single coming up. Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, on Sunny Side of Heaven, and that's.
Yes, yeah, she's super.
She really is. She's the same vocalist on all the other tracks as well. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
She sings with that band Alabama 3.
Oh right, okay. It keeps some of those songs a kind of this is just to me, kind of almost a Bob Seger feel in some of the way that.
Yeah, hey, thinking about that, yeah. Oh, that's good. No, thinking about that, yeah, I suppose it would. I mean, I liked Bob Seger back in the day. He was a dynamo on stage.
And also
that's all right. Then I hadn't actually thought of that, but I am now.
No, it's I think in some of his more recent stuff, like Face the Promise, especially the song. One of my favourites off the album is The Princess Bride. I just love that. I love the whole arrangement of it. I know Neil must have had something to do with the keyboard layering and the way it all builds up. But that's
actually, Neil and Tony.
Tony Newton.
They both swapped around. Neil did a whole lot of...
Oh, of course he did, yeah. He plays keyboards as well, doesn't he? Yeah.
Oh, he plays everything. He plays spoons, you know. He's great. Yeah. Because it starts off, it's got a bit of a Celtic feel.
Yes, it has. It has, yeah. And it's very cinematic. And I guess... When you talk about The Princess Bride, are you referencing the film at all, or is it?
Oh, I've seen the film 2 million times. Was it a land invasion in Asia?
Yeah.
No, was it? My name is Hello. You killed my father. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, I don't know. And of course, there was all that malarkey going back on then with that ginger bloke we got, Ginger Harry. But main, I suppose, The Princess Bride and stuff and crap you read in the paper.
Well, there's also, again, this could be just my, when you listen to things, you hear things and then you sometimes mention it to the person who's created it and they go, no, nothing like that at all. But I just wonder if there's like a Western movie feel to some of the songs as well. This kind of, some of the imagery and the words is like, from those old cowboy films.
Which particular song would you say?
Well, Other People's Lives, I'd put that in, whether that was lyrically, but especially Shane.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay, Other People's Lives, no. But Shane, yes. Shane is actually Shane. It's Alan Ladd.
Oh, Alan Ladd, yeah. Oh, yes. Heartbreaking film, yeah.
So, yes, on that one, but not for Other People's Lives, I don't think. That was...
I think it was also... where did I put that? Tinker Tailor also had that kind of... Well, I suppose that's kind of an anti-war kind of song, isn't it?
An open what, sorry?
Tinker Tailor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's like, que sera, sera, what will be, will be.
Yeah.
I believe Tinker Tailor's an old rhyme, and it's a similar sort of thing. I think it was Tinker Tailor, soldier, sailor, butcher, blah, 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 goes on, and it's a bit like, what will I be, what will I become?
Yeah,
thing.
that's
I think I got that right.
Yeah. And then we've got the other one I really love as well is Harry's Place, which is instrumental, but it kind of sets the scene for being like a crime thriller, like a film noir for the ears.
Oh, well done now. Now you're going straight to the top of the class. Harry's Theme is a take on Lalo Schifrin, who did all the music for the Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry movies.
Oh, I see.
So that's where you get that from, because it was meant to have that 70s feel of,
And that leads into The Wrong House, which sounds like it's a song about a burglary that went wrong.
It was, I was watching, do you ever watch, I watch a lot of bad B-movies, and one of them, which you must see, is called Giant Killer Ants. It's about a rock band, and it's absolutely hilarious. Anyway, I was watching La Vatula, I believe it's called, about I think it wasn't dinosaur, it was something anyway coming out of the ground, but they arrive at his wife's house, and she's a bit of a smart ass, but they're trying to get in these creatures and everything, but she rushes in the next room, picks the shotgun off the wall and goes, "Mister, you picked the wrong fucking house." It's just the spunky way she said it, you know. So it's kind of, and also there was that movie with Rudolph Hager in, where he's the blind guy.
Oh, yeah.
Break into his house, but it's a bit like, you don't know what you've broken into, do you? That's
great. And the other one I made a note about, I mean, I love all the tracks, but Storyville, that feels more a personal song. I mean, this is the closest you get to a ballad as a love song on the album, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I think yes, it is. Yeah, it's got some bits and bobs in there. Yeah, it's very pleasant to sing.
I mean, talking about pleasant to sing, this is a hard rock album. I mean, a lot of the songs are fast rock songs. You haven't thought, well, I'm going to just dial it down a little bit for this one. I mean, coming out because it doesn't. Whereas I think anything I think about you've done in your career. I mean, even times when you probably thought about recording things and you thought this is going to be a solo album, and then the record label go, no, I think it should go under the UFO. And you can see how it's kind of lent itself towards that. This, to me, doesn't sound like a UFO album. It sounds like a new band, but it's a really hard. It's a rock and roll album. The production feels more spacey. There's more air. There's more space around the instruments.
Yeah, it's that Tony Newton Productions. He's quite a whiz on the old knobs. Well, there was no, we didn't have any
interference,
preconceived ideas, and I'd never done anything with Tony before, and Neil sent me some new stuff he'd had, so it is all kind of a new thing, plus the fact that there's a lot of enthusiasm, and we didn't, when we started off doing it, it was just knocking around for something to do because there was nothing to do in that thing.
Yeah.
The Storyville, that was that little riff there, and I went in the garage and I might have come back from the pub, I'm not sure. It's one of those where if someone gives you a few chords or something, and you can just sing along to, and was singing along to that, and I liked it. I like the approach anyway. It was plus the fact it ties the album up a little bit at the end.
Did you, because I know in previous albums, and I know you've sometimes, from what I've read, driven the producer round the bend when you do the lyrics in the last minute, when all music has been formed, and that's when the muse for the lyrics come. Did you have a lot of these kind of stories and ideas for lyrics earlier in this project because of lockdown and having more time?
A little bit of I guess a lot of chaps do it. You sort of collect stuff. you put it down on your notes.
Yeah.
You know, different things pop up at different times, and you generally keep a bit of a sketch so that if you're called upon, if you're called to the plate, you've got a little bit of backup.
You don't have to start from scratch, Yes,
but I've kind of accumulated this over I think from the boat cruise we did last, which was just before COVID hit. I had quite a lot of stuff up to there, which I thought at some date I might get the chance to use.
Yeah. And are there any particular songs on the album yourself that are your favourites? I mean, I say my favourites are Sunny Side of Heaven, Princess Bride, Tinker Tailors, and loads of them. Obviously, Shane. Are there any ones that stand out for you as being like a new start?
I'm constantly surprised. I played it. I don't generally play yourself a lot because you can get tired of the album by the time you finished it. But with this, I've played it back and quite a few times, and I played it back and rather than analysing it all, I sort of just enjoyed it. And except when you go, oh, whoops, could have done. But I like it as a package.
Yeah.
If you do, there's nothing really that any one track that I kind of, well, obviously I would dislike, but I like it as a package, the whole shabob.
I mean, it's sequenced really well. It flows really well, and it's a great rock and roll album. As I said, I was very lucky to talk to Neil a couple of weeks ago, and
you mean Carter Unchained?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my Sid James laughing. He's been let out. Watch out.
Yeah, because he plays guitar on it as well. As I say, he's got Tony's playing keyboards as well. So, I mean, I've only seen the one video, obviously, to Apple Pie, but everybody looks like they're having such fun. And I know these things, you probably had it filmed multiple times, but it looks very natural and looks like it looks like a great band. Yeah,
we was having a good bit of a chuckle doing that. I've never done one before. In all my life, I've done live stuff like that Rock Palace thing, but I've never done a video. This is my first video, and apart from over showing off, no, it was an enjoyable experience.
That's quite an achievement to think you went through the 80s and managed to avoid doing a video, because everyone in the 80s with MTV was ending up in front of a camera.
I've often wondered about that. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
But it would never really came up.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, as we go through life, and obviously the fan base of UFO, like myself, is also older than it was in the 70s. So when you approach writing songs now, being slightly older than you were in making.
Oh yes, the air's getting very thin up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a different thing, wasn't it? The way that the expectation of fans back then, it was we were kind of just focused on Friday night and everything was going to be fab. But when you were writing the lyrics to this album now, were you thinking more reflectively and thinking also about when the fans listen to this, they themselves have suffered loss? It's not just our rock and roll heroes that have passed over. I mean, all of us, whoever you are, So are you kind of, when you think about writing music, are you thinking along those lines, if that makes sense?
No, not consciously.
Yeah.
It's a bit like you sit down and you start doodling, you play track. And sometimes it's how the track makes you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you kind of squeeze little bits in of, there are people I know that have been disguised in the tunes.
Oh.
So, there's a sense of loss in a couple of bits, but I kind of jollied them up a bit.
I did put in my notes, I thought this is very uplifting, very anthemic, very kind of, really positive music. And that's just what we need, isn't it, with the way that the news is at the moment?
It's banned. I've banned it in the house.
Good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
No, I was serious. I watched it for a couple of days and I thought, you're watching far too much of this, and it's making me feel a little bit depressed. So I've stopped watching it, and it's great. I can recommend it.
I think I'm going to take you up on that today.
Although it's very difficult to do, but
yeah.
And I even said to Emma, I said, don't tell me anything that's happening in the outside world. I'm staying in this bubble. Thank you.
Good bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, just finally moving away from that as a subject. I mean, Pete, Paul Raymond, Paul. I mean, how do you think they would have reacted to Moggs Motel? Do you feel their influence is in amongst it somewhere?
To Pete and Paul, Tonga, Pete and Tonga, I slipped them in there occasionally, mainly because they were radiant party people, and I think of some of the crap they came out with. I mean, for doing interviews, Pete would be excellent. He would talk your ass off. And Paul Chapman, a great fun bloke.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let anything get, hey, I tell you what, let's have a party, like he goes, like we used to. Or he goes, hey, pull up here. I want to do a barbecue by the side of the road. Those you do miss those kind of characters that you met, yeah. Jimmy Bain, I've forgotten until you mentioned Jimmy. Yeah, he'd gone. Fucking hell. Sorry.
So how are you now in yourself? Because obviously you had a health scare as well.
Well, it was a bit of I thought it was acid indigestion, but apparently not. I must admit, they fixed me up quick. But there's always, when things are going along and they seem really nice, really okay, everything, pay the electricity, you pay great program. I always think, it's good at the moment. Something's always going to come along and bite you on the arse. Just when you think, this is good. I said, be prepared. There'll always be something. I always found that. So enjoy the moment without the dramas,
True, and I think it's probably good advice for all of the fans of us, those of us at a certain age, to know that if you think we've got indigestion, it might not be.
Yeah, well, you scoot straight along to your hospital.
Yeah, good advice.
Because you won't be getting a doctor's appointment, that's for sure.
That's very, very true. So with the plan, I mean, this album comes out on the 6th of September in multiple variants. There's a couple of vinyl versions and the CD, etc. Do you have any plans to play live or? I mean,
the only thing I did think about was we might. I was waiting for Tony to get back. He's out on a tour till just middle of September, I think.
Yeah.
What's his name? KK. So I was going to wait till he got back and see if we could find. I was trying to find a nice venue, a small, not a big venue, to do like a showcase thing. And if we can pin a place down, which I really don't know where, either in London or I suppose Brighton's but Brighton's a bit, getting people to Brighton's a bit of a... So if somewhere in London we can think of, it's a nice smallish, not too big. You want to be able to see and talk to the audience and the hecklers. You want to be able to... you're over there. And the other thing we thought was, we want to feel our way with this and possibly do a couple of festivals next year.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
It doesn't involve travelling on a bus overnight.
Yeah.
Which makes a nice change.
So it's a brand new album with a new name, Moggs Motel. I mean, if you play live, would you? I mean, you could do the entire album. Could be your set list, couldn't it? Even the way it's sequenced.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
It would certainly work.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you'd feel a bit of pressure to maybe bring in a couple of UFO tracks?
I think it's a double-edged sword, that one.
It is, isn't it?
I think it might be advisable not to. It's a different...
It is different
thing, and
it is.
It kind of might muddy the waters a bit. It would be a bit like, well, why didn't he do this with UFO? Or he could have been doing UFO. It's a totally different entity, and I would like to approach it that way.
I feel, Phil, that it is a total different entity. It doesn't sound like UFO. It's a really high-quality rock and roll album. It's really uplifting. It makes me feel great when I play it. I love all the tracks. I think vocally you sound superb, really motive and soulful vocals. And I love is it Zoe on, the girl vocalist. She's great. So she'd have to be involved, or you'd have to...
See? Yeah, very good point there. That would be needed, that's for sure.
Yeah. It just drives those choruses, and you're flying over the top of her. She does the kind of almost like that keeps it, the chorus going. I just love that. Sunny Side of Heaven, Princess Bride, Tinker Tailor, when she's, I just
I like her Tinker Tailor too. She does a great job.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that was without direction. So she's a marvel.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So if it's a new one, just finally, I know it's early, this one hasn't even come out yet, and you've got this bloke suddenly saying, do you think you'll do another one? But do you think you'll do another one?
I really want to see what happens, because at the moment we've got actually a load of views on the SPV thing, what they call them. Yeah, it's seems to be doing rather well. I just want to see where it goes, what happens, because it's a bit like the unknown. Don't really know where it's going to go. Well,
you've got great chemistry with Tony, Neil and Joe and Tommy. I mean, they're just great players, and it just sounds like a brand new start. It just sounds like, a brand new band, which is obviously what you all wanted it to be like, but... You can't continue to do the same thing over again. So it's a completely, and 88 and 89, as we refer to Joe and Tommy. Yeah.
That's their cues, 88 and 89.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, because when we was doing that video, we discovered that Joe was born in 88.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy was born in 89. And that's where you start saying, look, you're old enough to have a drink, son, you sure? So, and I also found out Tommy knows the Carry On movies.
Oh.
I mean, you can't get much better than that.
You can't, can you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Carry On movies and a bit of cowboy films and B-movie thrillers.
I'm fucking living it up. Oh dear, yes. Indeed. No, very good. It was all very good.
No, well, thanks very much for talking to me, Phil. It's been great, and I can't wait to get a physical copy of the album. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the best things you've ever done.
Oh, Phil, thank you very much. Thank you. There's one Phil to another Phil. Thank you very much.
No, you're very welcome. So thank you for your time, Phil, and take care.
All right.
And hopefully I'll talk to you again sometime in the future.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Enjoy the summer.
And you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye. So a huge thank you to my guest, Phil Mogg from Moggs Motel. What a vocalist, and what an honour it was to talk to Phil. I don't know how to put into words how I feel at this point in time. I feel that Phil is one of the UK's best, most emotive, most talented vocalists and lyricists. UFO are still one of my favourite bands, and every time I feature UFO on the YouTube channel or on the Now Spinning Magazine website, those videos, those reviews, those ranking videos, whatever it is I'm talking about, it's to do with UFO, they get thousands of people reading and watching them. There is such love for this band, and all of that love now can now be channeled into this new album. And I mean this, and I think it was interesting, that Phil's saying they're not going to do any UFO tracks. It would distract from, this is a new venture. This is rock and roll album. It's full of energy, and it's just immaculate. There isn't one bad track on this. It's all killer and no filler, as that cliche saying goes. Phil is on fire. The lyrics are observational. They're witty. It's just brilliant. Neil Carter's in there as well. And you'll get all this. I don't want to go on too long, but listen to this album, and even better still, go and buy a copy. Go and buy a copy on vinyl or CD. Get a T-shirt. Get something from Moggs Motel. All the details are below in the description of this podcast. But thank you again to Phil Mogg. Absolute honour to talk to him, and I so hope that this album is the beginning of a new chapter, of a new story. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and listening and sharing. Please take care. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. So keep spinning those discs, and I'll see and talk to you all very, very soon.